2012. Made it for a brand called Dickies. I think I even got paid for it. Can you believe that? Welcome back. Thanks for coming. It's the Hotline Show. Today is November 17th, 2024. What a week, right? Lots going on. I'm so tired. Are you tired? I wake up at like 2, 3, 4 a.m. now. We'll get into that a little later. What else is going on? What did we do this week? Random stuff going on. Oh, did you see a bear got into one of my chicken coops? Just the run, not the coop. But it broke in middle of the night. It had happened the night before. That's why I put a camera up. I don't just always have a camera on it. I thought maybe it was raccoons pulling the cage open, but it seemed like I came out one morning and it was all bent, and I was like, that's like superhuman raccoon. Sure enough, it's a bear. And have no fear, all the chickens are fine. They get locked in the house, the coop part. Part the bear broke into was the run, and there was food in there, so that happens. But amazing. I thought the bears might have been sleeping by now. They're not yet. Soon. It's been warm. So what do we got? Oh, it's been sunny, no fog, so I'm barely doing my own pictures outside, but it's a good time for me to get into catching up on stuff. I'm doing some writing, making prints. I'll be selling some prints, some shows, whatever. Stuff like that. So I've been working on that. I was going to talk about getting paid money to take pictures, like for jobs, and how complicated that is and how it can take forever sometimes. And I was going to complain about it, but maybe we'll save that for next week because we want to get into the show. And the show is, if you don't know, people call the number. It's in the description below. Leave a message. It can be about anything. Mostly it's photography. But lately, we talk about everything, including politics. Light. We're light on the politics. I know some people aren't into it, but something, you got to be into it now. Hold up 1 second. Did you see that Mike Tyson fight on Saturday night? I stayed up really late to watch it, and it was awful, and it was a mistake for me to do that. And I think anyone who did watch it is dumber because of it. That said, we did get one great thing from that fight. This question to Mike Tyson about legacy that I'm about to play. Watch this.
What type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing.
Damn. That was perfect. It's on with the show. Let's go. First call.
Hey Noah, Brad Hutchison from Portland here. Just curious, do you have any special or unique lenses? Like, are there any that you find particularly interesting that maybe you don't use as often as you'd like? That's kind of it. Just curious about your gear. Thanks as always. Cheers.
Brad from Portland, thank you for that call. Lenses, photo question, great. It's been a while since we've talked shop, photo gear. Okay, I'm being told by a few people who have reviewed this video that this section about lenses, camera gear, whatever, might be boring to people who do not care about this kind of stuff. I get it. If you want to skip ahead, go to about 11 minutes. That's the next question. I've always been reluctant, at least, for the first half of my career of like talking about gear and how I do things, because by and large, I kind of think photography is like magic. And when you tell people how you do it, what you use, what you did, you're giving away the trick. And then it's not interesting anymore. And I think there's a reason why photography is not considered all that special anymore. Obviously it is, but it's so common and everyone can do it and everyone knows sort of how it works. So the magic has sort of went away, right? A little bit. That said, we can give away some magic tricks here and there. It's not one of the reasons I don't really like to talk about it also is like nothing I do is really all that special. It's like the easiest stuff in the world. Now, Brad, your question specifically about lenses. I'm not really a lens pervert. This is my phase 1 camera, and my favorite lens for the camera is the 80, which is like the normal. It's like a 50 millimeter lens. It's 80 on medium format, but roughly translates to 50 if you're using 35 millimeter. It's the kit lens, basically. It's the cheapest lens. It's my favorite lens. I shoot almost, I don't know, everything. Like 90% of my work is with that lens. It's a leaf shutter, though, because medium format is the Schneider Krushnach lenses. In terms of like what I have around, like for the phase 1, I love this 120 millimeter macro lens for the phase. This is a phase 1 lens. It's not Schneider lens, and it's not a leaf shutter, but man, this thing is so good when it's sharp. And you got to do it right in the macro. Like look at how far this thing extends out for macro 1:1, I think. It's so good, but the depth of field is so shallow, and you lose light. So you really need to be on a tripod. So it becomes really cumbersome to do it. But wow, it's so fucking good. It's so nice. With my Sony, I don't really have interesting lenses. I think the most interesting one is on this camera right now. It's Voigtlander 15 millimeter, maybe 14, whatever. But I like that, and I have it punched in the crop thing. Otherwise, it would be a huge super wide. But the APS-C sensor, whatever. So it sort of has turned this 15 millimeter into like a 24. I don't know. I don't care. Just if it looks good, it's fine. But that's a really cool lens, fully manual lens. And I think I like it. Beyond that, I just have a bunch of normal primes. I'm all primes now. I don't do any, whatever variable zoom kind of lenses. I recently borrowed this lens. Look at this thing. It's the Laowa. It's a macro, like, damn it, what do they call this? So stupid. I'll put it on the screen. But I borrowed this from my friend Brian, and I've had it for like 6 months now because obviously he doesn't really use it that much. I had to get an adapter for it. I think it was a Nikon lens, but this is kind of cool. I tried to use it. I was doing like stuff with like trying to poke into a birdhouse to see. I couldn't find the footage for some reason. If I do, I'll put it in. Okay, I couldn't find any of the bird footage, so I'm just making some new footage right now. You can see the size of this probe lens here. This is ISO 2000. Look at how wide it is, right? Now, I'll show you the macro capabilities. I found some sort of mysterious weed plant growing outside. And we'll take a closer look here. Look at that. Okay, look at it. Try to move it. It's basically, I would say that's like a few millimeters from the lens. Focus. Isn't that interesting? It's kind of cool, but I would never buy that. I don't think. Sometimes I will just buy a lens instead of renting it, and then I'll use it and then resell it back or whatever. But I think a good thing to do, and I know a lot of people do this, is just we'll rent an interesting lens here and there. But I'm just like, I used to be a wide lens kind of guy. I used to mostly shoot with a 55 on the phase, but now I've just gone normal 80. I do have 24-ish for the phase 1. I prefer a wide angle. I just like seeing space. I like environmental stuff. I don't really love long lenses, but I do have a bird lens, 200 to 600 for that Sony. And that's good. It just depends, right? Depends on what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. But beyond that, I'm not looking at like old sort of vintage stuff. It doesn't really interest me. But it's not to say that people can't get lots of enjoyment out of that, which is what it's all about, right? We should be having fun when taking pictures, because why do it if it's not fun? Brad, thanks for that call. Call back anytime. Next caller.
Hey Noah, it's Stuart from Melbourne. Commiserations on the outcome of the election for you guys in the United States of America. I worry that Australia is going to fall down this right-wing rabbit hole as well as a consequence, but we shall see. And if it gets too mad for you while Trump's reigning, pop on down. We've got a spare room here. You can hang out with me for a while. I've also been meaning to mention this for a while. You and I exhibited together in 2007 in a show in Switzerland, which was fun. And in 2007, I never had any inkling that it would lead to where it has led us today. But yeah, here we are, chatting about exhibitions of the past. And one last thing, AI. Are we going to hear the end of it? Is it going to improve our lives, or is it just going to just contribute to the destruction of the planet in terms of GPUs and power and all the other stuff that people bang on about? Anyway, I'm digging deep on your back catalogue here and just thought I'd share a few thoughts. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Stuart from Melbourne, thank you for that call. And I appreciate the condolences. Yep, we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you down under. You know, you didn't know this, but my brother actually lived in Melbourne for a couple of years, and I had planned to go visit. And then the pandemic happened, and he ended up moving back to the United States. So I never got a chance to go hang out down there, which is too bad. I also was in touch with an agent in Australia. He might have been in Sydney, but he wanted me to come down there and work during your summer because he said all the photographers were out surfing or something, and there was more work to be had for people who wanted to do it. But nothing ever happened. Never heard from him. So I appreciate place to stay. I don't know if I'm going to stay. I'm not running. I hope we don't have to. We might, but probably not. Maybe. And, you know, if I have to get on a boat and ship and go all the way around the world, I'll look you up. Might find places closer, but that's that. Regarding the show in Switzerland in 2007, the We Are Photographers Now show in Lausanne, Switzerland. That's cool. You were in that. My everyday video was in that. They actually flew me out, and I got to spend a couple days at that museum and spend time with the people who ran it. That was really fun. Interesting note, 2007, I was at a dinner during that show. And there were these two guys who showed up, and they had just come from some tech conference down in some other city, and they were like, oh, you got to check out this thing called Twitter. It's so cool. You text people thing. And I was like, oh, that sounds so stupid. I'll never use that. And sure enough, I didn't use it for another 3 or 4 years when it became more of a web app, because at the time it was just text messaging. That's how you tweeted. And I wasn't really a texter. I never really had enough friends to text with. So it was just something that I never thought I would use at that time. Lastly, AI. Yeah, well, so I've talked about AI a lot, not necessarily on this channel show, but my old podcast, All Consuming, we talked AI 2-3 years ago when it first started emerging. So been sort of aware of it from, those stages. And obviously AI has been around much longer than that. It's finally become mainstream with ChatGPT. I'm actually a Claude person. I prefer Claude over ChatGPT. I'll use both, but I do use AI. I like it. Now, obviously, when people generate art or whatever, an image that's supposed to be art, that's bullshit. That shit sucks, obviously. Everyone knows that. It's garbage. But there are tools you can use. And in Photoshop, I'll use some of the generative AI stuff to remove things over like the traditional old rubber stamp or clone stamp. Like, it's better. Sometimes, not always, but it's good to have around. And I don't really think that's like stealing from artists. That's ridiculous. People who are mad about that just need to chill the fuck out. Seriously, it's crazy. Now, it's complicated because like they've obviously trained on something. I know Adobe trained on their stock catalog, which I was in. I actually got a check for that. I think it was something like $37, but whatever. They're a little more ethical with their training data set, but who knows, whatever. It's kind of out there, right? Like it just is, I don't know. I don't think that's the fight of using certain tools, the generating people and models and all that kind of shit. That could be problematic. I mean, that said, we've got AI Noah now. He's going to do a little talk right here. Look. Hey everyone, AI Noah here. Here's the deal. I've been exploring how AI tools can help streamline my content creation. Think faster research, easier editing, and even helping with scripts like this one. But don't worry, this isn't about replacing the real Noah. It's about using AI as a tool to create better content for you guys. My personality, creativity, and our connection, that's all staying 100% authentic. I mean, it's pretty good, I guess, but AI is going to come for a lot of jobs. And I think it's funny. I have some friends who are really into it. And I'm like, you're the kind of person who learns AI to save their job, but still loses their job anyway. We evolve. We move on. Digital photography was going to kill photography. Everything is existential crisis for everyone at every moment now. Now, you mentioned the electricity thing. I think that's, people have this same sort of complaint about NFTs and crypto when that was a thing a couple of years ago. I think that's the least salient criticism that exists. Like, of all the things, energy consumption, while yes, it is a problem, I feel like it's the most solvable problem of these things. And there's offsets and we'll figure out a way. It's not burning down any forest, I think. I mean, nothing, you could say, you can literally take anything that is good and come up with reasons why it's bad. Stuart, thank you so much for that call. I appreciate it. Call back anytime. See you down under soon. Next call.
It's Brian in Minneapolis. First, thanks for the update on politics in Lumberland. Very interesting. This week, I have a question about the vibes, because so much of the conversation discourse was about how the vibes were changing, flowing. I mean, you even were doing it on Threads with the vibe checks, and I'm a 4 a.m. truther. Like, I woke up in the morning, I checked, and right when the election was getting called, and it was just this very strange experience. And of course, it turns out a lot of other people were having it, and now people are talking about it on social media, and it's going to become a whole thing. Probably just a coincidence, but I don't know. With all of the vibe talk, maybe something's there. So I'm just curious what you think. Where are the vibes going? Are we, with our art, is it a new age of where we need to be more intuitive and follow the vibes, and or is it going to be something where maybe we shouldn't trust them so much? It's very, I don't know where I'm at yet, so I'm just kind of curious what where you think this is going, as we kind of move into this, next era.
Brian from Minneapolis, thanks for calling again. I appreciate it. I'm glad you like the local politics stuff. I'm actually going to cover a little bit more about local politics, more specifically, town supervisor of the town right next to me, Highland. I know him. He's a friend. I'm getting together with him on Saturday, which is actually yesterday. So we did get together when you're listening to this. But I'm going to interview him and we're going to talk about local issues. And if it's good, I'll put it out as a video. I'll probably make it as a newsletter too. But I think the local stuff is interesting and we'll do more on that. Now, regarding the vibes, what are the vibes like? And you're a 4 a.m. truther. I had to actually look up what you were talking about. And here it was 3 a.m. But I think there was something about how everyone woke up election night at 3 a.m. and looked at their phones. I did. And I know a lot of other people did, maybe 3, 4 a.m. I don't think that was some communal vibe thing. We're all in a matrix machine. I think the people that we follow and see and talk to are all about our age, roughly, and we just don't sleep well anymore. I mean, I basically wake up at 3 a.m. just to get up now. So, and I think everyone knew when they went to sleep that night, it was over. So waking up, your body just woke you up at 3 a.m. to be like, let's check it. Yep, it's over. And that was that. I don't think it's going to become a bigger thing. The 4 a.m., 3 a.m. truther vibes. We'll see. Where are the vibes going? Well, vibes of the people I've been seeing. I saw a lot of people today sort of catching the vibe. Everyone's a little scared. Vibes are down. Vibes are gone. The vibes aren't good, if there are any left. I think we're just kind of waiting it out now. It's like purgatory in a sense. We're just don't know what's going to happen, what it's going to look like in a couple months. We're seeing all the cabinet positions being announced, and it's just fucking awful. So we'll see. We just got to push through this, right? And hope it doesn't last forever. I mean, how bad is it going to get? I mean, I have a lot of friends who think it's going to be really bad, really scary bad. Life as we knew it is not going to be how it was. I don't want to live in that. I don't want to live there. I don't want to have that affect my life, at least right now. I want to try to remain as positive and as optimistic as I can. And I'm going to try to continue to make things. I mean, if anything, I think just culturally, we're going into a I don't give a fuck kind of time period where people are just going to be like, fuck it, who cares? Let's do it. Just make it. More experimental, maybe. I mean, we thought the art would get good after the first Trump election. Did that happen? I don't think so. I think Joe Rogan rose. Did art get better? Still some good shit. People make stuff. People move on. People still have kids. If people are going to do that, then, making art is easy. So, fuck it. Who cares? Trust your instincts. That's the thing. So that's where I'm going. I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want to do for as long as I can do it. And that's the vibe. Brian, thank you for that call. Last call.
Hey, Noah. It's Lisa. In the post-election wrong track polling discussion, I agreed with you that what I call the sour ball faction would always say wrong track. Sour balls are generally critical, predominantly see shortcomings at first blush, and don't shirk from expressing unvarnished negative sentiments, even if it's contrary to what others think. Years ago, I attended a psychology conference where grad students were presenting research where they were proposing that everyone undergo agreeableness training. As a disagreeable sourball, I was immediately irritated and pounced during their Q&A and said many things, the crux of which was that agreeableness indoctrination was not a good idea. I guess I see the sourball disposition as essential for critical thinking and revealing needed change, but I found so many people don't appreciate this. I'm curious about your experience. Can only others in the sourball contingent fully appreciate our disposition? And is being a sourball a gift, a curse, or both?
Lisa, thanks for calling back. I appreciate that. You left a comment on the last video about being a sourball, or calling it a sourball, when someone who would answer the question that the country is always on the wrong track. Even if you are going to vote for the party in power, the Democrats, I would still come out and say that we're on the wrong track. So just always negative, pessimistic. I would almost say cynical, but you coined the phrase sourball. And I think that's a good term because you're always just sort of over it and you don't think anything is good enough. And I think that's a good place to be. I mean, maybe I come from that through art and critique and just always wanting to challenge people and their work. I was kind of an asshole in critique class in school. I think mostly because a lot of it was just shitty. But I also felt like if there's a place where you're supposed to push back on, work and ideas and try to make people better, it's there. And, I would just be sort of mean about it, but trying to be constructive too. I think that's the thing. It's like, just because you're cynical or you're sourball doesn't mean you don't want things to be better. It means things can be better and you strive to make it that way or hope you can be. Yeah. When it comes to agreeableness training, yeah, that sounds awful. I don't know how old you are, but definitely sounds like a Gen X kind of thing where you would think shit like that is bad and wrong. The idea of like coddling people. I know we've sort of culturally sort of moved into a world of participation trophy kind of stuff, where everyone who participates gets a medal. That's certainly not how I grew up, but you hurt less feelings, and I see both sides of the argument here. You don't want kids to be discouraged to the point where they don't want to do things anymore, but maybe losing is a good thing and it makes you try harder and get stronger. And I guess when it comes to agreeableness, like the idea of that, like where you always have to be positive, no, that's bad. I would have been like you, where and be like, that's ridiculous. Stop doing that. That doesn't help. Actually, it's ultimately harmful. Okay, I'm just gonna take this part out here. We do not need to say that publicly. It's not a curse. I think it's a blessing. And maybe it's I'm not saying I'm smart. I would never say I'm smart. But I think people who are like a little more self-aware are allergic to that kind of shit and want to reject it. There's something evangelical about everyone, trying to push a certain kind of feeling on you. And I think we should always be suspicious of that. And that's actually liberalism, if you ask me. Lisa, thank you so much for the call back anytime. That is the show. Let's take this, I'm going to go outside, take this thing, we're going to go look at some stuff. And that'll be that. So thank you for coming. If you made it this far, appreciate it. Do the stuff, like, subscribe. Just call, leave a message. Hope to hear from you. And we'll see you next week. Maybe.